That's why we have them separately.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda? Minutes from the prior meeting.
I'll accept them.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comments. Sandy?
No?
Alan?
Yeah, I'm sorry about the people who had damage in that 5-inch storm, which actually brought us up to 18.5 inches for the month of July. But you know, leaving that last storm is going down the street, and from the 2006 microburst that we had a concrete arch put on the west end of Reed Road, and that saved us through, and it also saved us through this past storm. I was very thankful for that.
Have
A town plan.
well, very specifically a hazard mitigation plan.
Well, we do have a hazard mitigation plan, and we've got a grant in to update the hazardous mitigation plan, and I think it expires this year. Do you know any more about it, Tim?
The hazard mitigation plan has expired.
Yes, but this year,
It's past tense,
Yeah.
David.
2021, it expired.
Yeah, okay. And the grant we're getting, which I don't want to, you want to continue? I can
No,
say
no,
what
go
I
for
would,
it.
huh?
Your brain is much more organized than mine on this one, so go for it.
I doubt it, but I feel just as foggy today as you do. I had a conversation with Lissa Sabetto, who some of you will remember is a planner with the Wyndham Regional Commission, about this whole matter. Unfortunately, we should be getting a consultant with this work,
Yes.
with the hazard mitigation. She herself is not available. She has 8 other towns that are already lined up ahead of us. So we would have to probably put out an RFP to hire one. She also said we may not be lucky in getting one, that sometimes consultants say, no, I don't want to work in that town, or, you know, like one of our neighbors, I forget the name of the town, has already got 6 consultants that have signed up there, where the town next door can't get one. So that's a potential problem. In any case, if we were to luck out and get a consultant, it would take probably 6 months to a year to get this hazard mitigation plan together, which begs the issue of what Witchy is talking about. He's concerned about, and rightly so, as are some other people that you've talked with, right, Witchy, who are concerned about insurance and not being covered. So I don't know what can be done about it, but I would suggest that we get going on hiring or putting out an RFP and getting a consultant hired as soon as possible to work on this, since it will take a while. She did say that if we had a town plan, and we got a town plan going, that might speed things up.
Yes.
And could we use the expired plan and revamp it?
I
Well,
totally agree.
Yeah, that's what we would most likely do. The hazard mitigation plan that we had, it was worked on by the emergency committee and the select board at the time when we put it in. It was approved by FEMA, but they expire after, I believe it's 5 years. Isn't that correct?
I'm not sure of the length of time, but
And it expires in 2021. The state put out grant funding last year for towns to apply for to redo their hazard mitigation plan. And we applied for the grant. We believe we've got the grant, but we haven't got the money from the state yet for that.
should come in September.
Yes, it should, hopefully. And once we do that, we can hire other towns. Yes.
I have a question on that, because if we have a 5-year-old plan, as Denise just suggested, can we basically just put it back in place? Obviously, we have to look it over and see if there are any changes that need to be made. But what is there that we couldn't do Matt couldn't do. You know, what is the role that a consultant brings to the table that none of us could do?
A consultant would just help us and go with what FEMA is looking for in the plans and could help guide us through that. The last time we did the plan, Alyssa Sabato helped us some with it, but it was really the emergency committee, the select board, the road commissioner at the time. We all worked on it. We had several meetings, if you recall, and wrote the plan, and it sailed through. And actually, some people at Wyndham Regional were surprised because usually FEMA will send it back to have something done to a plan, and they didn't do it to ours. So I would certainly think that the plan that it's expired in 2021 would be the model that we would use and just update and go from there.
And do we have the criteria from FEMA, what needs to be?
Oh, yeah, that's easy to.
So why don't we, I think what Sherry's suggesting is being proactive on this and work on it now,
Yeah.
get as much done as possible. If we need to hire a consultant, we will, but it'd be a much quicker job if he or she doesn't have to start from square one, if we've already done work that we can do.
That's true. I have no issue with that, but to have a consultant, you know, in on it, so if we do a lot of work on it and then we hire a consultant and they come back and say, well, no, this isn't what you should do for this, it might not hurt to have one at the beginning of it.
Yeah, I'm not objecting to that, I'm just saying if we can speed up the process at all by
Well, like
doing
you
some
said,
work
that-
ourselves now, by convening the select board and whoever else you would want to meet, the
Well, it
road
was the emergency
commissioner.
committee that did it last time.
The what?
Sandy, you worked on it quite a bit, don't you recall? The mitigation plan?
Yeah, that and the town plan.
Yes, but it was the mitigation plan that we're getting the grant for, to redo that, so. So does that answer any of the questions?
That answers most questions. One of the questions that I guess I had is that, and I'm a little naive on this, so forgive me, but I don't feel like the flood maps were either in a way that we could see it or updated, because I remember looking at the flood maps and at least for our property it not being accurate to what it actually was, and that is something that the water engineer from NRCS also mentioned, and it's one of the barriers to being able to get either insurance or FEMA funding for.
Yeah, you're
Now-
absolutely right, because the flood maps show from
From
the
here.
other side of the road here
Right.
down to the farm. That's all they show for a floodplain.
Now, we could probably bring that to the attention of the state about that, but it's not the town that does the flood maps, it's the state that makes the flood maps. Now, if we said, this is wrong, you need to look at this again, they very well might, but it's not the town that goes ahead and says, that lays out the maps, does the mapping. It's the state and the feds, I believe, as well.
And has any of that been updated since 5 years ago when that map happened?
There was some new, and I don't know the term of the maps, but there were some new things out from the state a few years ago. But I think they're the same maps that you're talking about that you can see now, so.
Now technically is
Hold
what?
on,
Oh,
let's.
sorry.
Well,
where is she?
Well, I'm looking for insight.
Alright, Don.
I thought the flood maps were, their preoccupation was inundation. I didn't think they did anything with fluvial erosion.
That was my question.
That is pretty much true, yes.
Unless that's changed, I don't,
I mean,
I don't think you're gonna see inundation all the way back up this far.
well, I mean, if you look, certainly 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago here, you had inundation.
This far back.
All around the house and back of us here.
Yeah.
So, the maps aren't right, but to be able to change them, to get the state, to get the feds to change them, it's not something the town can do. We could say, hey, can you look at this? This is not our experience, but
So the map doesn't actually come all the way,
the map shows the inundation at this bridge is about the end of where it can be.
wow.
So for
Yeah.
someone like you,
Well, then to sort of follow up with that, then if that's not up to the town, it's up to the state and federal, so it sounds to me then the town needs to put pressure on the department or office that is in charge of that. So
Yeah.
is that something that we can initiate, follow up with?
And I would guess that we're not the only town that's in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they redo the maps, and I don't know how many years difference it takes, but they will redo the maps, and then it will be several years before they come back to redo them again. But certainly we could tell them, hey, this is not our experience, this is what we, you know.
Is VLCT not involved at all? I remember Rod Francis, when he was a VLCT, talking about maps.
I think they know about it, but I don't think they're involved in this. I think it's usually the regional commissions and the state.
Would Andy Tupper have anything to contribute to this with all the mapping work that he
might,
does?
because he does a lot with maps, and he would probably know far better than I would about that, so.
So
But
could the
we
town
could-
contact him and find out?
We could certainly try that. What it might be good to do is to get the emergency committee and the select board to have a meeting with the idea of working, like Tim says, on starting the hazard mitigation plan, re-upping it. And then, but asking Andy to come in, asking maybe Alyssa Sabeto, who we're not gonna ask to write the plan, but about the new flood maps, or the flood maps, and how we would go about that. But Wyndham Regional would probably be one place to go to get direction as to how we would change the maps. They would probably know, or they could know. So,
David,
yes,
what I'd like to really propose to the select board is that some kind of process be initiated tonight, whatever that is, to get these flood maps, leading towards the flood maps being updated so that they conform with our reality.
well, I don't think that we will work on the flood maps tonight. What we will do is, I think, would be a good thing, is to plan a meeting, try to get the emergency committee to come in, the select board to come in, the road commission to come in, and we start on the hazardous mitigation, and as part of that, then we discuss the maps and see the maps.
That's
and
what
go
I'm
from
talking,
there.
you said in what I was asking for,
Okay.
to start a process, in which I'll make sure that you're aware of that meeting and invited to it for you and whoever else you feel might have some skin in the game here.
Or you could join the emergency committee and go.
He is, that's right, I forgot, which he is in the emergency.
So that's good.
So,
Good
but
move,
you're not quite
Ricky.
sure how often flood maps,
I knew you had a
10 years, but I can't say that for sure. I think it's every 10 years they re-up.
Oh, yes.
next cycle.
Because I know when we were looking at joining the National Flood Insurance Program, there was talk that there were new maps coming out and we should wait, and we waited and we
But-
didn't.
We didn't get those, but that was maybe 3 years ago?
Something like that, 3 or 4 years ago, yeah. So,
Well, actually, I'm trying to think if it was on, that wasn't before Dennis was on when I was there, because I remember it, so it must be after Dennis left.
I believe so.
Okay.
All right. Amy. Do you-
That's April.
Oh, April.
No. I do. Denise, at one of the last meetings you mentioned about checking on the ballots as far as like if they could be, in regards to like town meeting, if we could do it